Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Financial Friday. I am Minister Sharon Brumfield standing in for Dr. Burns, and we also have,
Hey, this is Brother James. Oh yeah. How you doing, everybody? And good evening to all my grinders. Oh yeah.
right. So, Brother James, tell me what's been happening with you? What's how was your day today?
Okay, so the funny thing is I got a speeding warning. I got a speed warning, which is hilarious because those things they're there to help us maintain the speed limit. Outside of that, we had a couple retirees that happened. Um, that was nice, just celebrating the life and legacy of a bunch of people
Okay.
who came and they did 31, yeah, 30 years, 30 plus years, and then he's finally calling it quits. We had a bunch of food, tons of different food, so we're gonna give a shout out to all of our sponsors that was helping. So that was nice.
Awesome. Awesome. So you had a speeding warning.
Yeah, speed warning. Yes, yes, yes. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do one, but to all the people that are watching, it's good to just have a speed warning. It's not a ticket, it's just a warning.
Or maybe we can slow down a little bit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That too. That
Yeah,
too.
that too. Good evening, Elder Perry. Glad that you can join us for Financial Friday tonight. Make sure that you guys like and share this information out. I know we're going to be doing some reviewing tonight from things that have been taught over the last several weeks. Make sure that you're putting the work in. You know,
Yeah,
if you haven't gotten your workbook yet, it's not too late. It's not like you can't continue to use it in months to come, but continue to use this information. The goal is six figures. And so if you have any questions, put them in the comments. If you've been going through your workbook and you ran into a snag or something like that, go ahead and put that question in the comments. Or maybe you've really got a principle down, something that you learned and you are using it over and over and over again and is yielding fruit for you. Put that in the
yeah,
comment too. We want to know some successes that have been going on in your life as a result of you tuning in and being a part of Financial Friday. All right, Brother
yeah.
James, what's on the agenda for tonight?
Oh, we're going over all 12 weeks. We're gonna be talking about everything because as we get so the next level after the 90-day challenge is the actual six-figure challenge. So 90 days is to get everybody warmed up, get everybody suited up, let everybody know this is what we're looking to do.
Okay.
After today, now the race begins to
Mm,
are we applying these principles to start
right.
putting ourselves in a better position? And I think the beauty of everything is just how things are done. So how things are done. Do you have a foundation? If you don't, look at the foundation and then let's get that situated. Do you have habits? If you don't have habits, well, let's get those habits now nailed down and then let's start going. And do you have savings? Do you have investments? Are you looking for the future? Like all of these things we went over, some 1 week, some 2 weeks, but we want to make sure that we are going over these things, reviewing, and then we're pursuing the next level.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Well, I'm going to take a minute and share. So that's why I'm looking down. I want to make sure that I'm sharing this out to other people. And so you can go ahead and jump right in, Brother James.
Okay. So the very first thing is the introduction. So let me see. Oh, I can't broadcast it, but we got a slide deck for you.
Okay.
Like all things that while that's getting ready, like I always start off, if you if you want to do it right. You always want to take notes and you want to get yourself prepared so you can get things situated. So the biggest things in which I can tell anybody is that the very first thing is hello, how are you doing? Because you need to know where you are so we can always continue to move forward. So this is Rise and Thrive because we're rising out of our situation and we're thriving inside success. That was brought to you by Dr. A.D. Burns. And right now, Minister Brownfield and myself is bringing it to you because we are grinders and that's what we do. Okay. All right. Now, the biggest things in which we got to know is congratulations on making it. Everything's a celebration. I like having fun. I like doing things. I think that's always a good thing. because you always got to celebrate those milestones. So if you made it through week one, you made it through week two, you made it through week three, 4, 5, you got through 6, you jumped over 7, you cleared 8, got to 9, 10, got a little tired, took your second win, got 11 and 12. I want to say congratulations. Because
Yes.
if you took notes along the way, each note, every bit of piece of information does help you in the end. It's like taking a test. It's not about if you knew everything, it's do you have enough information to be applicable or applicable in the real world? And that's where the test is. It's not in a book, it's not in looking at Financial Fridays. It is, are you applying these things to your everyday life? So the first one was laying the foundation. So if you was new to the channel, old to the channel, you was a seasoned member at Jericho, I want to let you know that the very first week we all talked about laying foundation. Well, what is foundation? One of the biggest things about foundations is having a vision. No one goes into battle, no one builds a skyscraper, no one even builds a pyramid without having a vision of what it looks like. So before we even get started, you need to have a vision. Now, there's one who gives visions. His name is Jehovah. So pray, get your vision, write it down, make it plain, and then you have a foundation. So week one was all about laying a foundation. And we gotta make sure that we have that. Now, for those who already have week one, which is the foundation, that means you have your vision. You already have the six-figure mindset, or you're developing a six-figure mindset. You already have a faith, which means you understand what offering is, you understand what tithing is, you have goals, you have financial objectives. And lastly, you have affirmations that help get you to where you need to be. Because if you don't know, we need you to be a better version of yourself. Because as we all strive to be better in each aspect of our lives, we improve those around us. So, with all of those being said, we have laid the foundation.
Yeah, that foundation is so important. As you walked us through each of those points there, um, just thinking about daily affirmations, they are so encouraging. When you can take time with God in prayer and praying about your finances, praying about your financial endeavors, your business or your savings, how can I, get this savings together? And God will give us those creative ways to save money.
Yeah,
He'll show us, okay, you can cut out that, or you don't have to get that. Even when you're in the store and you want to put something in your basket, the Holy Spirit will just really hone in and say, do you really need that? We have to listen to that so that we're not overspending, we're not wastefully spending, but we're really setting our focus on having some fruit as a result of this time we've been spending together.
yeah. And to add to that is people need to understand that even although everybody who believed in God, everybody who believed in Jesus, everybody who believed in a future outcome, right? Not everybody is going to be a seven-figure guy. Not everybody going to make 8 figures. Some people are going to make 6. Some people going to make 5. But the point of the matter is follow your vision.
Yeah.
Your vision is going to lead you to success. Success is not financial, success is spiritual. As long as you're doing what God is telling you to do, you're living a life that God has told you to live, and you're believing in God and all your needs are met, trust me, you are successful. So
Yeah.
I want to make sure that it's a six-figure mindset, and we are building towards 6 figures, and you can hit 6 figures.
Yeah.
But for all the people who are overseas, for all our people who will be seeing this in the future, and those who may have seen this in the past. I want to make sure that everybody knows that laying the foundation is fundamental to create wealth.
Yeah.
So when it comes to creating wealth, you need to have a good foundation, and from that foundation, you need to build financially towards a better outcome.
I agree. That vision helps us stay focused. It's like those
Yeah,
blinders right here. It stops me from going over there and doing something else when my vision is right here. Something over there may look good, but that's not what I'm supposed to do. So that vision and knowing where you're going is important.
yeah. So I think the vision is so big that we spent one time. We spent 1 week on it, but I'm telling you, if you write it down, you take your notes. Vision is the cornerstone of all foundations. Anybody who ever built anything, who ever amassed an army, who ever thought about it, the story of Walt Disney was they had a parade out at the Walt Disney World. And Walt Disney has been dead and gone for a while. But they had a whole parade and they brought his wife out, Walt Disney's wife out. And they said, wouldn't it be nice if he would have saw all of this? And she said, he did see it. That's why it's here today.
Hmm.
Because before the first brick was laid, Walt Disney had a vision of what we now see as Walt Disney World. So his vision is what created that. He
Yes.
even died before he saw it. That's the same thing happened with a lot of the children of Israel. They had a vision of what the promised land would look like. They, when they was told about it, they was told the good and the bad. They accepted the bad and not the good. So they still had a vision. They just never saw it. They children saw the vision, the promise. So we got to make sure that we are laying the foundation and setting up the vision. So for week 2, just like we grow trees, we got to grow good habits. Now, one thing that I've always talked about amongst everybody is whenever someone speaks on what makes a good habit. Well, from a financial standpoint, what makes a good habit is assigning your money. That means as your money comes in, you have an idea where your money is going. You have I know my money is going here. It's not just I'm just tithing, I'm just giving an offering. It's I'm giving this money for this purpose, right? I'm giving money to the church for a purpose because I love God. I'm giving money to the church because the children need new books. I'm giving money to the church because the church said they have this evangelistic program that they're about to do, right? You're assigning money. And the best way to assign money is to have a budget or to have an understanding of a budget. Now, way back when, I told everybody the formula was 10, 10, 40, 20, 10, 5, 5. And the reason why that happens is 10% goes to God, 10% goes to taxes, 40% is what you live off of, 20% is what you're investing, 10% is for your emergency fund, 5% is to accelerate yourself, and another 5 is to create the sanity that you need in order to survive. And I know it sounds like I memorized it. It's because I did, but I memorized it more than 20 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. So to me, this is more second nature than it is first nature. So if you don't know it, this is how you do it. If you do know it, this is how you do it. And the
Mhm.
reason why I say that is because a quote from Denzel Washington: "A novice is practicing the lines so they can remember it. A expert actor is practicing lines that he would never forget." And it's just that difference in mindset. Once we say this does work, and I'm testifying saying this does work, once we take that in, we can move further in that area.
Okay.
What do you think about that?
Well, when I think about forming habits, sometimes people only think about like personal habits, like lifestyle habits. But
Yeah.
when it comes to financial habits, it's so important. We want to just go out, like I said earlier, and get what we want because I work for it, I work hard, I deserve it. But do you deserve the bag or the shoes or the suit or the hat or whatever more than a stable financial future? So, developing those habits early. And that's why it's important to share this with your children. If you're watching and you have children, grandchildren, nieces, nephews, begin to sow those little nuggets of financial wisdom into them early. So as they're growing up, it won't be a struggle for them to save. It won't be a struggle for them to really decide, is this a need or a want, or can I put this off and wait till it goes on sale? Do I have to get it right now? We're that get it right now kind of people. But I believe in having, since since being a part of Financial Friday, believing in making sure that I'm having good financial habits.
Yeah. And I think that was I think you can I couldn't have said it better myself. because I think one of the benefits is when you are teaching what you're doing, you become more accountable to what you're doing.
Right.
So me telling my wife and kids, "Hey, I made a mistake here. I shouldn't have bought this. I did buy this. This is why I bought it." Right? You're justifying what you're doing to a group of people,
Right.
and as you do that, and it sounds crazy because you're talking to your kids and you're telling your kids, "I made a mistake." Well, now you're putting accountability onto what you're doing. Hey, I made a mistake. I wasn't supposed to buy it, but I did. I made a mistake. And then by doing that, you're now holding yourself accountable. You're keeping track of what you're doing. And that's how you really build a tree. Building good habits is how you build your money up. Because when you do good habits, that means at the 4 to 6 month mark, right? Once you have enough money in your emergency fund, now that additional funds goes back over, and that helps pays down your debts. When all your debts are paid off, and somebody said, when does that happen? When your car loan is paid off, when your house is paid off, right? We do have things that we can pay off, and once we pay those off, that additional funds become more active. Like I'm really big on paying off credit cards. If a credit card isn't making you money, then just go ahead and pay it off. And I know that may be a hard statement, but I'm very adamant about keeping a low balance. When it comes to any credit cards, you need to be under 30% to produce a healthy credit rating. It's just what it is.
Mhm.
Don't max out all your cards. Keep it under 30%. These are rules that are already in place to help you get more credit, and there are rules in place to make you lose credit.
Mhm.
And it's a rule. So let's try to follow these rules so we can improve our credit that much faster.
Mhm.
But the goal is to put ourselves in better financial situation. So we can go to the trip to Walt Disney World. We can go out and see the Bahamas. We can go to Hawaii. We can go skiing in December. We can go skiing in December. We can go skiing in July, right? We're planning these things out because by doing that, we're not putting a lot of onus on ourselves. If your tire busts, right? When you have money already set aside for it because you assigned your money. I
Right.
have a vehicle. It needs oil changes on a regular basis. Okay, I need to put $70 aside. Me personally, I drive a lot more than anybody else that I know.
Mhm.
So oil changes for me happen on a monthly basis. Tire changes for me happen on like a 6 month basis.
Okay.
Why? Because I don't want to get stuck somewhere where I got a flat tire. I don't want to get stuck somewhere where my engine is overheating. I don't want to get stuck somewhere. So for me, regular car maintenance that some people may do in 6 months, I'm doing that about every 2 to 3 months. Why is that? Because I'm planning for it and I can see the benefit. Like I haven't had a busted tire in a very long time. Why? Because just the structure of doing things that you know
Right.
and assigning money. So when something goes down, you already got it in the shop, it's getting fixed, and then you're moving forward. Uh, and I think gas goes up and down too. So gas is
Yeah.
very finicky.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I just wanted to add on to that. I believe you went down this list as well. Is the financial literacy, having those tools and resources so that we can establish a healthy financial life. And Financial Friday is just that. It's a resource, it's a tool for us to get information that we don't know. And it's okay if you don't know. Tune in so that you can find out, and now you can apply it, and then you can have that plan to have financial literacy and financial freedom. So, just being a part of Financial Friday, sharing it with a friend, getting the word out that on every Friday you can get some tips and tools to help you in your finances is so important.
Yeah. And the crazy part is, I like all of our success stories. I think that was changing the way in which I speak because it's not Financial Fridays. What to me wasn't just about making more money. It's about being able to utilize our talents and skills to make our lives better. And for me, starting off, I think I said no way more than I said yes. And even now, I think I say no about as much as I say yes now. And
Okay.
I think and I think those things, like I used to answer a question with a no. Now I answer our questions with yes, how can I help you? Or yes, you can do that if you find and if you're in this situation because of Financial Fridays. Because there are
Hmm.
a lot of people out there that are doing a lot of things. And I can't just say no.
Right.
Being on Financial Fridays, even for me, allowing me to see the evolution of people and hearing the testimonies that you may not hear, but I'm hearing them and I'm seeing these people in action. And I can see because at our church we have a big old board, and you can see people that are achieving their financial understandings or their financial goals. Their
Mhm.
blessings are all happening, and you can see these things, and you can see people like, yeah, no, I got that, I got that, I got that. And I think those things are a blessing. Even if no one else noticed, trust me, I noticed. So you come to our church, you put on the wall, boom, boom, boom. These are the things I'm looking for God to do. This one looking, and I actually look at it. I look at it infrequently, so I think it's always nice to see those things.
Yeah.
From there, I have growth. So
Mm.
now I'm always looking to say yes and to be on the same page with other people. So that's what I'm learning through building habits because that's a habit that is successful, is making sure everybody has a yes. Because if everybody can win, then let's achieve that. Let's make sure everybody can win. uh,
Awesome.
also, we got to talk about in week 3 and 4, we're building habits. You could talk about the financial literacy tools. Like Financial Fridays is a resource. There are 4 books in which I think everyone should start off reading. The first book is even for your children. It's called whether you're an adult or a child. It's called Darren Darren learns to learns to earn, and that's a book by Damon John. Damon is the book is called Damon learns to earn. That's a
Damien
it's a
learns to earn.
Yeah, Damon learns to earn. It's a kid's book, but it has the basic principles of what building a company is all about, and basic principles about just socializing. You start looking for the right people in the right position to help you further yourself. And that's just knowing who your friends are. Because he didn't get random people, he got his friends, and him and his friends work together in order to achieve a goal. That's a resource. The second book is Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's an old book. You can get it at the library. You can buy it online. You can buy it almost anywhere. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a captivating book about just a story about how these principles are put into action. So, if you're looking for a good story, that would be a story that takes you down a timeline of Robert Kiyosaki as he was making his first million, and that's another source. The third one is by our very own pastor, Dr. Anthony D. Burns. It's called Pathway to Possibilities. It's a great book. You can write in a book, you can understand what's going on. And by doing that, you write your vision, I think, 3 times. After writing you write your vision throughout the book, you're writing your vision. And then when you get done writing that, you go through every day, and then you come right back and then you write it again because the nuances of you're changing it along the way, like you're getting more information now, you're changing it. The last one is from Reginald Lewis. It's called Why Should the White Guys Have All the Fun? It doesn't matter if it's politically correct right now, but when he wrote the book, the title is Why Should the Rich Guys Have All the Fun by Reginald Lewis. It deals with the stocks and how things grow. Now we will talk more about the growth of stocks and funds a little bit later. But Reginald Lewis was the guy who, like all things, he made a lot of wealth and money, but with integrity and morality, he made it work for him, and he always shared back. He was a really good advocate for sharing. So those are just tools and resources. No, why should the white guys have all
Okay.
the fun? And that's one of the biggest. That's once you read these books, you will have a crazy idea on how all this stuff works because these are really good guys, and those those guys help transform the things in which I do. And even though they are older books, there's a plethora of books, but those are the four books that I told everybody that if you read these core books, you will get a good idea on financial literacy, and as well as it'll open your mind to a lot more things. Uh, lastly, lastly, track your expenses. Most people have the ability to track their income because whether you get paid once a month, twice a month, or a couple times a month, most people can track the income. It's your expenses that most people lose sight of. Like you may take $20 out and you be like, okay, cool, this is my last 20. But then you want to buy a bag of chips. Well, that bag of chips costs $1.50 or $2. And now once that 20 breaks, it's scattered and now it's being used randomly. The same thing happens with $100. Most people like $100 bills, or back in my day, I guess that's another way of putting it, is
Mhm.
that before we had credit cards that just swiped a lot of money out your account, we had these $100 bills that everybody held on to because one, you couldn't break it anywhere, and two, you couldn't break it for just any old thing. You had to spend more than $20 to break it, and only certain places would even accept the $100 bill. And that was a good buffer. Nowadays, we have cars that can do a lot more stuff. So it behooves us to track our expenses. Even if you have multiple credit cards, you can there's a lot of systems out there that you can input on your credit cards and it tracks all of your expenses. Because by doing that, you have a better outlook on your expenses.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and lastly, just create a budget. I think we have a budget friendly worksheet. And
Mhm.
I did tell everybody, you don't have to put everything in. You could put the basics. I got 2 checks that come in. I got 4 items that are leaving, and boom. The purpose of everything is to start at start. So if you lay the foundations, week two, in which, yeah, if you laid the foundations in week one, week two through week four is all about just building those habits and getting you in the best position.
Okay. All right. And then before you go on to the next week, talk a little bit more about the small adjustments. I know that's a phrase that we should have memorized, we should know it by heart, but it's important.
Yeah.
Anywhere in our lives, we can do things with small adjustments. We can make some major moves with some small adjustments. So, talk about that.
Yes. I equate small adjustments to a tugboat turning an ocean liner. The ocean liner is big and it's massive and it's built to take on the whole ocean. It's built to it. But when it comes into port, guess what? It's a little tugboat that turns it. How can that be? Because the tugboat understands the principles of small adjustments. Small adjustments is how you maneuver through things and how you change yourself. So when I was talking about, hey, guess what? I have too much spending or I have tons of spending. The small adjustment is to understand that you have too much spending. The small adjustment is to say, maybe I don't need to buy Uber Eats. I may have to suck it up and just buy regular food, cook it, and then have leftovers. That's a small adjustment. And it's
Yeah.
not that you have to do it every day, it's these small adjustments. It's it's the small adjustments could be something as simple as I'm gonna go to Walmart instead of going to the gas station and buying a bunch of chips. I'm gonna go to Walmart, buy cheaper chips, and just leave them inside my vehicle. Small adjustments.
Hmm.
And because those small adjustments, just like that tugboat, they add up over time. And it's the adding up over time that everyone can start seeing. Because some people don't see that $10. Some people don't see that $20. Some people don't even see $30. But if I see $130, well, now I'm at $3,000. I can definitely see that. I can definitely see that. And that's one thing that I will show you in I think week 7 or 8, where it comes to savings. I will show you how a small number over time still produces a big understanding. But small adjustments is all about the little things that we do. Like if you have grand ideas, but you never wrote it down. Well, how can anybody follow your grand idea? Your
Hmm.
elaborate grand idea. One small adjustment. Write it down. Hey guys, I want to buy Starbucks. Period. Okay, so now anybody coming behind you, they understand what your vision is. Your vision is to buy Starbucks. Well, then what does that mean? That means they know, right? That okay, so you're doing all of this hard work for what? So now you know what your direction is. If you wrote down what you want, write down what it is. I want to have two Starbucks franchises, or this. I want to have a Subway franchise by 2026 February. So now when you start pulling that money for an investment, people can start seeing those small adjustments. If you're and that's for the people on the side that's moving a lot further. But let's say that you're in debt. A small adjustment could be, hey, guess what? I don't need cable. I just need internet. Well, how much are you saving by not having one, two, maybe three boxes inside your house? Those small adjustments, right? Because now you don't have cable, but now you just have internet. So now instead of having three boxes, you got just one streaming service, whether it's Hulu, Disney, Netflix, uh, HBO, Cinemax, um, was all the rest of the Paramount. Like
Mhm.
it does a, yeah. And then you got Pluto TV, which is free. You got Tubi, which is free to low cost. Like you got all of these streaming services that you may have to make an adjustment. So now I don't have cable. I don't have to AT&T. I just have the internet portion, but I do have free streaming services. That amount you're saving is a small adjustment. Why? Because now I don't have a remote to a box. I now have to look it up on my phone or the TV. Those are small adjustments, but those small adjustments over time will yield a result.
Yeah, and I mean, that's something that we can talk about each and every time because it's so important. Otherwise, you'll get stressed, you'll get overwhelmed if you try to do this big vision, you know, at one time. But you can piece it out and then you can get it done. So yes, that's so important.
Yeah.
I also wanted to just tell everyone one of the books that you mentioned, Pathways to Possibilities. You can go right to the website site dradburns.com and you can purchase that book there. It's a really good read. It's a really good workbook. It's in one, and so you can get your thoughts down, write things down, get your plan together, get your vision together, right in that little booklet. So make your way over there to the website and grab you a copy today. All right, James, go ahead on with the lesson.
Yes. Just so we know, I wholeheartedly agree. Pathway to Possibilities was a game changer for me.
Yeah.
Uh, and even for those who are doing it, Pathway is still a game changer because if you don't write your vision every single day or once a month, it becomes times where you may lose sight of that vision. Not the overall vision, but the small details of it. And remember, it's the details that we are making sure they are nice and tight. So week 5 and 6 is all about an active income. Now, this is where we're moving a little bit further on just besides laying a foundation and building good habits. This is where we have to start understanding how active income works. And this is where I was I want to make sure I say this correctly. So the best way to put active income is if you work a job, your job gives you money for your time. So if you work for time, and this sounds crazy, but you're trading your time for money. If that's what you're doing, that's active income. There is no doubts about it. That's active income. However, don't get mad at active income. Active income allows you can speed up a lot more things by having active income. I have an active income. It's not bad to have an active income. I also have passive income. I utilize my active income to greatly improve my passive income. I've been doing that for a bunch of years now, and it has been revolutionary. Because you can pull yourself out of debt a lot faster. You can also have better buying power. If they don't understand what you're doing passively, your active income can be a buffer. Because I went through all of these things over my years, and more years of doing what I've been doing.
Okay.
So as you continue to grow, remember your active income is very active. So if you're at a job, if you're at a job, make sure you utilize the job. If you want to get educational benefits, see what your job has available for you. If your job has time off or Good Friday, or it has biblical studies, right? Understand what your job is doing. Just because you're there to give time for money, it doesn't mean that you can't grow and develop. your own skills. If you want to be a business owner in the beauty industry, if you worked at Macy's or a beauty cup, Macy's, uh, Target, Kohl's, I think we're banning all of those anyway. But I think I thought that they on my mind because I think we're banning them. But if you work at a beauty supply store or you work at a salon, those will be the best places for us. That way, you're learning. You can work. You're looking at a system that works. So
Hmm.
that's the benefit about working an active job and building your own clothing line. If you worked at a fashion show, right? You're seeing all the latest fashions, you're meeting the people who are leading the industry, and you're learning how the business goes. Remember, fashion is anything, but a fashion business is something. It has a ceiling, it has a bottom, and it has room to grow. So if you're learning the fashion business, it's good to be or to have a fashion job while you're making your fashion, or you can just do it the hard way and be an entrepreneur, and it takes a lot more time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been an entrepreneur for a long time. It takes a lot of time to get things moving versus being at a company where they have a lot of things in place and you can learn how they're doing it and say, you know what, my company won't do that one thing. We'll do this instead.
Hmm.
Uh, Another thing about the active income is you're got an idea or find out how to monetize. It's like the car salesman. You sell one car today. You're not selling the Honda Civic. You're selling the Lamborghini, right? You're selling the Lamborghini because you want to be able to sell one item and have it pay you for months down the road. That is the way to move and to grow your money.
Okay.
um, oh, go ahead.
No, no, I was just saying, okay.
Okay. I'm really big with growing your skills. So when it comes to reading books, one of the biggest things that I can come up with is never stop learning. Oftentimes, when you start becoming unwilling to learn, you actually start losing money. So everything coincides with who you are as a person. If you say, I did it, I made it. Yeah, trust me, by next year you won't. It's not until you got to keep reinventing yourself. And these are things that active income forces us to do. If you're a teacher, you are forced to recertify. If you are a logistics manager like I am, you are forced to get the newest information. If you're a
Hmm.
surgeon, a doctor, even a therapist, you are forced to have the best information available. And it's not to say that the old information is bad, it's that you have new information to get your job more readily available. So you have to be able to cultivate that.
Right.
And by cultivating that, you could be a lot more stronger.
I agree. When
And
you, oh, you
oh,
continue
no, no,
on.
no, no, go ahead.
Okay, I was just gonna go and say, when you're talking about think people that need to recertify, I think everybody should be getting new information all the time, no matter what area you're in, because w- once you're in something long enough, you think you know it, but we're always being, lifetime learners, learning the newest skill, learning, getting up to date on the newest ways to use our computers and phones and laptops and things like that. So that is important for us to, remember that when it comes to our finances, get some new information.
Yeah,
Sometimes information that has been passed down to us is not valid information anymore. So we need to upgrade and get the newest information when it comes to our finances.
yeah. I mean, even if you take your barber or your beautician, right? No matter which one you go to, I go to a barber, but my barber still cut with scissors. He wouldn't be that effective cutting my hair in this day and age. I
Right.
mean, could he do it? I guess. Yeah. I guess if he learned the right tool set, the right skill set, yeah, he can cut my hair with scissors. But there's a better way to cut my hair. There's a better way.
Right.
He can just use some clippers. Guess what? Even the clippers he's using, the style and technique, that may be nice back when I was a kid, where you put your hand on top of my head and you hold me. But there's new techniques, so now you don't got to hold my head. This is how you rotate the body around so you can get the right positioning. The same thing is true with women's hair. back in the day, I guess you could just throw them inside a barrel and you rush the head around, or we could just comb it out, clean it up, wash it, and then keep going on with all the different styles that women have today. I mean, like those are things that we learn along the way. And this is just for the hair industry. If you take groceries, now we got automated systems that track your groceries. And if you like, well, I don't like people tracking me too much, too bad. Everybody is tracking everybody. Every phone conversation you have is almost always going to be recorded. And it's maybe recorded for training purposes, or they may record it just to catch you up on something crazy that you're saying. All of those things can happen. And the reason why is because automation is making more things accountable. So we have to become more accountable. It's not enough to just read a book and say, I read a book. You have to read a book again. I read the Bible one time back when I was 16. Well, if I read it one time, that sounds like a lot because it's a lot of pages. But guess what? I also had to read the book when I was 17. I read the book again when I was 18, and I read the book at least once every year. And I can guarantee you, every year I read the same Bible, maybe a different translation, and I am getting so much out of the Bible. And the Bible is just one book that I read every year. Every year I'm reading the same book, and I can promise you there's new information flowing out that book every single year. So
Mhm.
don't read one thing and think it's it. Every book that I gave you, like Pathway to Possibilities, they ask you at least 3 times about your vision.
Mhm.
They ask you about how you want to grow your vision. And it is available in a website, but there is so much utilization of that you don't have to do it in 31 days. You could do it in 31 weeks. You could do it in 31 years, because you can get done with it and be like, oh, let me go back to the beginning. And then
Right.
you start all over, because your vision may be the same, but the technique you use along your journeys may always change. And we gotta be always understanding that those things may happen. So yeah, I am I'm really big on that. Uh, Also, networking and leveraging was what we talked about. Network and leverage opportunities is what we talked about. And this is something in which I'm getting better at. So, networking, the good side of networking is network. The
Mhm.
indifferent side of networking is politicking. And get, I think politicking has a bad understanding or a bad reputation about it. But politicking is typically getting people who have opposing sides together to accomplish something. That's what politicking is. So I may not like the color red, sis may not like the color blue, but politicking, we can both agree on purple. So that's a very simple understanding of what politicking is. Um, I'm not particularly for that currently, but I do know that it does have a benefit. Networking also has a lot of benefits. When you are networking, you are meeting like-minded people that may be in a position a little bit ahead of you. They may be your peer on the same page as you, but doing like a different field, or they may be a mentee mentor, which you can also talk to, who also can pull you along.
Right.
One big thing that we, one big thing that I do constantly is that I use a lot of young people, and I talk to a lot of older people, because I am not the best social media guy. But guess who is? If you take anybody at 20, them young ones, I ain't gonna say kids, those young adults know
Mhm.
social media. It is
Yes.
something in which they excel at far, far greater than I do. However, if I'm talking to somebody who may be a couple generations ahead of me, and they may not know how to use a computer or turn it on, or they may know how to turn it on but they don't know all the functionality. Well, I can help them on the functionality of a computer. They can help me on what to do in that stage of life. I'm looking
Mhm.
at the 20-year-old like, hey, how do you work this? They're teaching me how to get from point A to point B, social media, how to market myself, how to position myself properly, how to have my website to be more friendly to other people. And that's how you leverage opportunities. We always need to be, I think, the 4 people. You always need to have a mentor, a friend, is a mentor, a mentee, a friend, and a peer. You always need to have those 4. I'm hoping I'm saying them right. I'm hoping, because I think somebody told me, but you always gotta have those 4 things. You always gotta have somebody above you who can tell you what you're doing right and wrong. that's a friend. You always got to have somebody that you look at that can help guide you to the future. You always got to be guiding somebody. So you got to be a mentee. You got to be somebody's mentee. Somebody got to be telling you what to do and guiding you to a better outcome. You got to be a mentor. That means you got to tell the youth, hey, guess what? I did these mistakes. I don't want you to do these mistakes. This is the best I got for you. And then you got to have a peer. You got to have somebody who you can see eye to eye with. They don't have to be a friend, but they do have to be somebody that you can trust. And they're doing their thing, and I'm doing my thing. My biggest peer, I'm not gonna say his name, but he's a really good peer of mine. He flip houses. I buy and renovate houses. So even though we're in the same real estate field, he is 100% my peer. He's somebody that I look at and for guidance. I'll be like, man, dog, you really doing it? Because I want him to make it. I want him to make it because he is fantastic at what he's doing. And I think the way you do it, even though it's not my style, I can still learn a lot from him because I have an opportunity to just glean from what he's doing. And I'm in the same boat. I can glean from what he's doing. So those things are really big.
Okay.
And I got a bunch
So quick question. So you purchase properties and then rent them out, and he purchases, flips, and then sells them.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So
All right.
yeah.
Well,
So
go ahead.
no. The fun part is like, well, but that's the difference because people think that we're in the real estate field, but the real estate field is huge. So it's not just cut and dry. So when somebody say they're in the real estate field, they could be in commercial real estate and not in residential because I'm in commercial and residential. So he's primarily in residential. I got more residential than I do commercial, but it's that nuance of each other because he's telling me about the systems that he do are different than the systems that I do. So I'm always listening, just trying to soften my schedule so I can have some time with him. Like, man, how are you doing that? And then I'm like, this is what I'm doing, this is what you're doing, and we can converse back and forth because of that. So yeah.
Okay. Now we've been doing quite a bit of talking. Let's see what's going on in with our viewers tonight. Just put in the chat something that you gleaned from Financial Friday, from the 90-day challenge. What are you using as a result of connecting to Financial Friday, Dr. Burns and James Jones? Did you get your book? Yeah, just tell us what's going on. How are you guys navigating this six-figure mentality and thought process? Just put some things in the chat. I know we might be a little lagged, so it might take a minute for you to even think about something that you want to put in the chat, but let's talk a little bit tonight. So put some things in the chat while Brother James moves on to his next topic, and then as you put your things in the chat, we'll check it out and we'll talk a little bit about it.
There we go. Okay. I was trying to look it up. Like, let me make sure I get over the financials. But one of the biggest things that we got to move on to is if it's back up and running, we got to go to week 7 and week 8. Now, this is what I'm show everybody.
Okay,
so, yeah. Okay, I see we got a couple minutes left, but we're less than 10 minutes. So I'm gonna scroll through. We did the weeks. Now, this is savings and investments. Now, this is really big because it's part of the financial formula that I gave everybody. So 10 is God, 10 is country, 40 is where you live. So these 60% is typically everything that you need in order to make it. Moving from that, you got 20 is going towards investments. Another 10 is going towards your emergency fund. Another 5 is going to accelerate all of your debt. So if you have debt, that 5% is used to accelerate it. Another 5%, which is your last 5%, is used just for sanity. So we're going to talk about the one in the middle. So after investments, and you have emergency funds, so you have these two. I'm going to show you how an emergency fund works. Now I made sure that I did this properly. So I'm just showing you how it works over time. So the big thing about savings accounts is that, and I tell everybody this, a savings account is a temporary holding for your money to grow, and then you move it into another financial vehicle. So if you're saving, you save $500 to move it into a CD. If you're saving, you save it for $1,000 to move it into a money market account. So you're always saving in a savings account to move it to another location. And the reason for that is just because of inflation. When you add in inflation, you typically don't make money saving money. You typically are quite well losing money by saving money. So do not keep it in a savings account forever. You want to have a time limit on it. You want to save up and then boom, buy a financial instrument with it. Okay.
Okay.
Now the fun part is the very next one. So I'm going to show y'all the next one. Now this is what happens when you have a so if you look at this, I started off at $15. I'm only saving $10 a week. So in roughly a 2 month time frame, over that two, we got January, February, and by March. So by 2.5, I'm already at $100. Now, if you notice how an emergency fund works, if you can look at the fourth entry, it is because I overdrafted my account. This is how emergency funds work. So I've been going $10 every single week. In 1 week, I hit a $5. I overdrafted my account by $5. Don't worry, everything's okay. This is just an example. So that's what the emergency fund do. As you build it up, you're building your emergency fund. You're building, you're building, you're building, you're building, you're building. When you hit a financial difficulty, you don't stop putting money in the emergency fund. You handle the emergency. In this case, the emergency was $5. It was exactly $5. Why was it exactly? Because this is just a sample of what an emergency fund is built for. Now, some people may do $50, some people may do 100, some may do 2,000. Others may do 10. 10 is the simplest form that everybody can utilize in order to build up the money. By putting away $10 a week, and when I went over by $5, you can see that it went from $85 to 80, and then it went right back up to 90 because the money is still growing. And don't worry, this account will still keep moving, and that's how emergency funds work. So when this hits 4 months of what my living expenses are, then everything above that month will go into another account.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. Okay. We got Minister Rodney in the chat. Good evening, Minister Rodney. And he
Yes,
said he's moving money into a high yield interest savings account.
yes. We talked about this several times. A high yield savings account is over 4%. So if you're looking at inflation is typically 1, 2, and maybe 3%. So you want to make sure a high yield savings account is over 4%. That means by putting your money away into a high yield savings account, you're actually making money versus losing money by having it inside of a savings account. So I'm great. I am grateful to hear that, and that's one of the yay. That's why everything is so yeah. Like it's my vision is to have people who are financially literate and moving forward. So it's not enough that I know some people that are financially literate to hear all the movements that people are having, and I can understand that people are moving forward. That is my vision. So even though it may not be your vision, my vision is just to know that my brothers and sisters are moving forward. So I am ecstatic just to hear that they're moving to a high yield savings account.
Awesome. 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 We have about 6 minutes.
Oh yes,
So
yes, yeah.
yeah, we have about 6 minutes left. So did you want to, I don't know if we have time to start another week, or do you just want to, give some final thoughts and final words?
Okay, then I will. Since I still got a whole lot to say on week 7 and week 8, I will just say that we'll pretty much keep it here.
Mhm.
When it's at the $10 mark, now remember, I want to make sure I stress enough that I don't want anyone to copy the $10 as though it is the structure. It is a sample structure. However, if it works for you, start at 10 If that's good enough, go to 11. If that's good enough, go to 15. Right? Because you always got to start at a point in which start at a point that is doable for you. And then once you do that point, you grow. It's like putting a jack on a car, right? When you put the jack on a car, you don't put the jack already raised up underneath the car. It won't fit. You got to get the jack underneath the car first. And that's what I want you to do in this instance. I want you to make sure that you can put your money aside and that it doesn't affect you, just like a jack underneath the car. But as you continue to grow and you continue to turn it, then it starts affecting, because if you was take that $10 and make it $100 every single week, you will be at $1,010 right now. $1,100, and that's just by putting a 10 behind that number. What can you do with an extra $1,000? Are you going to burn through it, or will you understand what it's there for and then utilize it appropriately? And it's these small things that we do that make us that much more efficient. So that's what I really want to drive home. And remember, this is all part of a formula. And I say the formula so many times because had we know the formula, like, you can't say you don't know it. If you've been on Financial Fridays, the formula is very simple. 10% can be used as an emergency fund. So if you don't know how much 10% is, whatever you gave to God, you always give that same amount to yourself. Now, let me make sure I clarify that correctly. So I don't want anybody to go crazy. So God is first. So always pay,
Right.
not pay, always give to God first. Give to what God is telling you to give to first. Make that first. Taxes, if you work a job, you don't got to worry about it. They're going to take theirs. But you want to make sure you document it so they don't take too much of what is yours. Emergency fund is for you, is what you put aside for you. So you got God, 10%, country, 10% in taxes, you, 10% in savings. But your 10% in savings need to be active. It's not just sitting there. It's assigned. This is going to be my emergency fund to cover emergencies. Just like the sample. I had an account. I needed $5 more. It pulled out $5 more. It didn't stop what I was doing. It didn't stop the way the money was flowing. All it did is cover my living expenses of $5.
Okay.
And once that was done, it continued to grow. So you want to make sure that we're doing our due diligence with just the small stuff. Remember, in the right direction will still get us to
Mhm.
the
Yeah, yeah. And just your example here of the $10, somebody may do $20 or $30, but had you not done that, you wouldn't have this money right now growing, and you wouldn't have had that buffer when you needed that $5. So it's important for us to put this money aside, and like you said, to earmark it for something. It's not just sitting there for whatever, for just sitting. I'm saving for this, like Minister Rodney. I'm putting this into a high yield savings account. I'm going to buy a CD. I'm going to get a refrigerator. I'm going to get my oil change. Whatever you're putting the money away for, you got to tell yourself that's what it's for. So when something shiny comes up, you're like, nope, this money is for this.
Yes. And then that also gives you the ability to help out family. It also, when you come to an emergency fund, the emergency fund isn't just your emergency, because some of us are older brothers, and our family, our extended family, is still people that we take care of. We may not
Right.
take care of them always financially, but they may look to us to make decisions. Like, hey, we got a deaf in the family. They don't look to you to help out. Hey, we got, my kid needs something, and you like, that's not my kid. I'm the uncle, but it's still, you still want to be able to help out your family. So all those things still apply to an emergency fund.
Mhm.
Oh, I think we're out of time.
We are out of time. We are. And so thank you all for joining us for another Financial Friday. Again, I'm Minister Sharon Brumfield standing in for Dr. Burns, but just thinking about Dr. Burns and how he really wants you guys to, reach your goals, your financial freedom and all of that. So do what you guys have been learning. Make sure you stay the course. Don't fall off. Don't, even if you do fall off, get back on. All right. Get back on this plan of financial freedom. And so thank you again for tuning in tonight for Financial Friday. Make sure you tune in again next week when Dr. Burns and James Jones will come with another amazing time of giving you some tools and tips for financial freedom. Be blessed, and we'll see you guys next week.